Hello everyone, and welcome to our Beats deep dive. I'm going to tell you right now, this will more than likely be an hour and a half class. I understand if you can't stay the full time, it is being recorded, so that will get uploaded whenever. And here is this document right here. We're actually going to look at this document first, and then we will go into a couple of projects and play around and do some hands-on beat stuff. I'm going to leave my chat open for right now. All right, so the basic beat information, y'all. If you've been in classes before where we discuss beats, you should know this, but for those new, need a refresher. Avoid the pronouns. Don't use he, she. I would say I don't care how ridiculous it sounds to have that character's name in a sentence 3 times or however many times. Get rid of the pronouns. And if you start making this a habit as you're going through and changing those pronouns, you will actually start to see, oh, this one the AI could have messed up on. It's not like it can do that with every sentence, but occasionally there is that sentence that just reads funny, and I can see the AI latching onto the wrong person for that pronoun. So save yourself the hassle, get in the habit of removing pronouns. Don't use vague wording like a man, woman, the group, the team. What's going to happen with pronouns and with those vague wordings especially? Either the AI is going to go to your character list and find a character to fit that role of a man, woman, or a bunch of people to fit the team, and it's going to throw them in there. And guess what? If you don't have enough characters for that, it's just going to make up some new people to fit that role because you said, hey, there's a team right here. The AI goes and looks and like, there's 2 people in your character list. That's not a team, that's a duo. So it's going to make up some people. I promise you, if y'all do this, you will not have the AI bringing in people that don't belong in the scene. It will not create new characters. I promise. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. As soon as I learned to get rid of pronouns and vague wording like that, I never had it happen. It works. So there's a reason I preach about it. All right, you can use beat headers, and we're going to actually discuss beat headers more, but that's a way to give some additional guidance to the AI. In my opinion, it is also, they're fun to play with. And just some tips right here. You could combine beats if you're not good at writing out those thick beats, or, there's sometimes we don't have that idea for how the scene's going to play out yet. Hey, I just combine beats to make them thick enough so I don't have looping. Let the AI generate that chapter, and then usually I'll have ideas of where I want to go after that. And use guardrails, focus, drivers, and all of that. It is linked in here, another, where is it? It's linked in a couple of places. This Sudowrite guide that has a bunch of style wording and all of that y'all can play with, okay? And it has a whole section on a whole page for guardrails, drivers, and one on beat headers for y'all to play with. Let's see. You could put lines of dialogue. I can't tell you how many times it surprises me, so I guess we don't talk about it enough. People are like, oh, I could put dialogue in the beats? Yes, you can put anything you want in the beats. You can put the dialogue, the character performing a specific action. You can tell the AI, we did this in one of Tabby's classes. The person was getting a text message. I can't remember what specifics it was, but I said, hey, test this out. So in square brackets, she put, write a text message from her jerk of a boyfriend breaking up with her, right? We didn't know what we wanted the text message to say, but she did that. And guess what? The AI did it. It wrote out that text message. So you can do all kinds of things with beats. If y'all can't already tell or don't know from me in Discord, I love beats. I know it's probably the hardest thing for most people, but if you're one that likes to experiment, you don't mind putting in that time to learn them.
Lady
I think
Gentle
they're
from
so fun.
UTA.
Somebody got that? Thank you. So I highly recommend it. If it doesn't work for you, I know plenty of people just don't like beats. They don't want to mess with it. Hey, I'm not going to force you. But there is so much potential there in the beat box if you can master them. Something relatively new I've learned. I actually started putting this. Ryan Mather gave me this idea. when I was trying to generate an outline for the first book in a series, and that book ends, with something tragic happening, and the AI just kept continuing and adding 2 or 3 more chapters to that outline because, hey, it wanted to say, no, we need to resolve this issue right here. So it kept doing that additional. I'm like, no, it's not supposed to do that. He told me to put this in the genre box. I did. It worked like a charm. The outline ended exactly where I needed it to. And now, in most of my projects, you will see I have this in my genre and in my style, just pretty much throughout the whole story. Because I found it does help limit the beats, getting the beats inappropriate like I want, as well as the prose. It's not so great with the prose, but there is some difference there. All right, so that is basic beat information. Co-host, please let me know if I forgot any basic stuff. But I'm going to repeat. Get rid of the pronouns. Get rid of the vague wording, okay? If you're having characters who aren't supposed to be in that scene get brought in or new characters made up, as Stacy would say, you're the drama. You're the cause of it. I'm sorry you are. I learned that the hard way. All right, so we're going to actually go over a couple of plugins. I'm just looking, sorry, I'm going through all this just to make sure I cover everything, but then we will actually be doing this. So these are some instructions. Again, I love to play with beats. These work great in the outline box, y'all. And I'm going to show you how to do it, but essentially it's, okay, here's my just pretend this is my outline, right? It's chapter number, whatever instructions I want to put right here, and then my chapter summary words after that, okay? Why does it go in the chapter? Well, because whenever it generates beats, it's looking at that. And I wanted to focus on that chapter. Yes, beats do see the entire outline box, but I wanted to focus on this chapter. And generally, I change up my instructions for each chapter. I don't put, like, this generic one would work great to just be at the top of the outline box if it will read it. I still prefer to put my instructions right there inside each chapter because I change it up. If you do not like the beats that Sudowrite generates, this one right here is a great generic one to instruct. So you're not giving it scene-specific information or story-specific information, yet this should help it write better beats. This is actually what my Just Beat It plugin is built on, these instructions right here. This first one is actually really good for using with rewrite or quick edit or quick chat. I tend to default to quick chat versus quick edit. But this one is great. So if the Sudowrite generated beats aren't bad, but they need some oomph, try this with one of those, rewrite, quick edit, or quick chat. There you go. Is that the link you were needing? Let me know if you need a different link. And this is a lot of what I tend to do with each chapter and why my instructions go inside a chapter. I will typically change it up on how I want that scene to play out. So remember, when your beats get generated, it's looking at genre, style, outline. Somebody, I think it's looking at brain dump, but I've never noticed anything getting pulled in from brain dump. Somebody let me know if I overlooked something, but genre, style, and outline. So you don't have to default to just let it generate beats what it thinks it needs to generate. Instead, these instructions are meant to say, hey, when you generate beats, this is exactly how you're going to do it. This is what you're going to focus on. All of those little things, okay? Don't be afraid to just instruct the hell out of it. Again, we'll go over plugins. So these two were actually meant to be beat headers and create beat headers for people because people are having trouble. Hey, what is a good one? But after playing with them, I discovered they actually do better to be instructions inside my chapter outline. Yes, Mana.
Can you get your screen a bit bigger? Some people have problem to see. Thank you.
Oh, let's see. Good enough? That good?
I'm waiting for her to answer back. Looks all right. If she asks again, I will let you know.
All
She
right.
says it's better. It's better. Good.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up so I can see where I can toggle off. Again, stuff we're going to go over. These beat sheet ones, I'm trying to describe. I typically rotate my workflow just depending on the story, namely, how much information do I know in my head of how that story is going to play out. Those of you who have been in a lot of my classes, you've heard me say, I can't work with too much information at once. Those big paragraphs of text and all that, I can't work with it. But this one right here will give me a scene by scene outline, which I absolutely love. So I can tell it to look at my brain dump. It will break that down in small little beats for me. And then I can adjust that if I want to. This one is also meant to be used on the output of this first one. And it helps create some more detail. So these are great if I just do not have a good idea of how that story is going to play out, but I know I want to be the one to decide that and not the AI. I can use these to get started. And you can actually use First Draft to write beats, y'all. So I have copied my chapter summary for whatever chapter I'm working on, told it to write the beats. You can give it some different information such as style and all of that, and it will write that out for you. I've also used First Draft to rewrite beats. Not that great, but it has done a good job of filling things in before. It's kind of hit or miss on the rewrite, but it will write beats for your scene. And First Draft is not censored, so it does a pretty good job. One of the things Stacy wants to make sure I talk to y'all about. Again, I learned this the hard way. See, y'all are not having to learn things the hard way. Y'all learn from our mistakes. The first book, the book that I learned Sudowrite with, my characters are walking from the creek to the cabin that is not that far from the creek, okay? Yet they probably made that trip at least half a dozen times because I was unaware of continuing action at the time. So if your characters are traveling and they do not reach the destination in that first stride, remember a stride is 2 beats. That's how it writes in Chapter Generator. There's single beats and every 2 beats makes a stride. So if your characters are still traveling after that first stride, you need to let the AI know that. And I gave you examples here. They do not reach their destination and are still traveling on the plane. Also works for arguments, fight scenes, battle scenes, sex scenes. Let them know it's continuing, y'all. I can't tell you how many times people have said, oh, it's just, the sex scene is done in just a stride. Let it know. They're not finished. She got a good one and he's not done yet. So they're going to keep on going. And this one, oh yeah, thank you, Stacy. So this I add in the beats. And Stacy says she does too. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have it in a beat header because remember, y'all's beat header is getting applied to all of those beats. So this information goes within the beat. And I keep repeating it until that action would actually be done. So once they reach Bali, then I wouldn't have that in there anymore. I would actually put in that beat, hey, they arrive in Bali. But if they're still arguing, guess what? They're arguing while they're walking off the plane. I'm still going to have this one in there until they stop arguing, resolve it, whatever. So beat 1, oops, beat 2. So this is the first stride right here, all of this. So you see right here starts the argument. They're still arguing. They're still traveling. And this is the second stride. And I would just repeat this until they actually arrive, get done arguing, whatever the action is that you need to continue or stop. And then I put a couple of beat examples in here. You'll hear us talk about thick beats versus lean beats. I think people automatically go to, oh, this is a lean beat and this is a thick beat. That is true, yes, in the literal sense of the word. However, this is a lean beat, this is a thick beat. That first one could cause looping because you're not asking the AI to do a whole lot. You know, can it really stretch that out over 400, 600 words? Don't know. But it could definitely stretch this one out, but yet they're about the same size in terms of how many words are in each of those sentences. So just keep in mind, what exactly are you asking the AI to do? Are you asking it to show your character getting dressed and putting on makeup? Are you asking it to show your character waking up, getting up, brushing her teeth, basically doing her morning routine, all of that, you know, answering text messages or making a call to her best friend as she gets ready? Just keep in mind, what are you asking the AI to do to showcase in that prose? And then I gave you a screenshot. I tried to find another one. I'm sorry, I couldn't. I just have too many projects and I couldn't find the screenshots in Discord. But this is an example of a couple of ways you can play with your beats. And I did list this out here, so if y'all need to repeat. So this first one, you'll see this a beat. And then beat 7 is the first beat. And then there's an ellipses. Before anybody asks, I just realized my numbers here. So before anybody asks, those numbers don't make a difference at all. The only number that matters, and it actually doesn't even matter what that first number is, but you just need a number to separate your beat header from the first beat. That is it. Doesn't care if these are numbered, not numbered, or out of order. You just need that number for the first beat. So that's why, yes, this would actually work with it being numbered 7, 4, and 9. So this is my first beat, telling it to write in first person, telling it what happens. However, I put the ellipses there because I want the AI to drag that scene out. I don't want it to rush through it. I don't have any next step for it to go to while it's writing that stride. Instead, it is solely focused on that sentence right there on Evan being taken to more mob jobs. That is all I want it to focus on. So the ellipses do that. The ellipses are just kind of a way for you to tell the AI continue. That does give it a little bit more free reign, so keep that in mind, but I don't find it goes like out into the left field all of a sudden, unless you're playing with Goliath or Weaver. And this is about normal for these right here. Let's see. So number 9. All right, so this one right here, just a couple of quick sentences. And however, I wanted the AI to suddenly kind of slow down and focus on this, on that job going awry at the docks. I wanted to really focus on that and draw that reader into Evan being hurt. It actually would have done even better if I'd have done the ellipses after that so it could still focus on that. So those are some different ways you could play around with it. Again, the guardrails, focuses. One of my favorite guardrails is avoid cliche speech and dialogue. And I can actually put that. There's nothing wrong with putting that at the end of every single beat. You could put multiple things within your beats, multiple guidance instructions. But let's say my 2 female best friends are having a conversation. I know the AI is probably going to want to get really cliche and cheesy. Those of you who know me know I hate that stuff. So I will put that at the end of every beat so the AI knows to avoid that, and it does help. I gave y'all beat header I really like, and you'll notice this is actually similar to that rewrite thing for the beats. That's where it came from. And then I gave an example of another shorter one you can get. So this is a way to guide the AI. Hey, in this scene, this is what we're focusing on right here. You're focusing on that interrogation, how the suspect is reacting. I want everything from the viewpoint of the detective, and you're going to show that detective's thought process as he's interrogating that suspect. There is unlimited potential here for y'all to get creative with your beat stuff. And this one is from Stacy right here. So Stacy, is there anything you want to mention with this header? Good, bad, things to look out for, what exactly it does, like its main purpose?
So I write in a very close third person perspective. It's basically first person, but with she and he instead of I. And this is to ensure that the this is playing off of the thing that we always tell y'all, put in the language that you want to get out. So oftentimes I see that beats have a tendency to zoom out and go into a more omniscient perspective, and I don't want that. So if it's in the beats, obviously I'm going to fix it, but we want to make sure that that doesn't get translated over into the dialogue.
Bonus tip, this works great with auto write, guided write, and most recently, I figured out it works great in the chapter generator. So when you're generating prose, first of all, I'm the person that really, honestly, I click it, I let the button go. I don't care to pause, but I wanted to play with it. I noticed if I pause it, pause after that stride, and then I put my cursor right here at the end, not on the next line, right there after that last word that it generated, the last word that you want to keep. So if you're pausing and editing, of course, edit first, put that cursor wherever you're done editing, and then click to resume. I found the transition was much better. Sometimes it can still be choppy with going from stride to stride, and this really seemed to help to do that. So get rid of that wrap up paragraph if it happened, edit whatever you want, and then just put that cursor right there at the end of the last word, and then continue. I am not going to open this up. I don't want to offend anybody. I mean, it's not horrible. I've definitely said or written worse, but use your wording in your beats that you want the AI to use, okay? If you want sweet, inspirational, use those words. If you want dark, demented, gory, bloody, graphic, use those kinds of words in your beats, okay? It really does help. If you could actually write all of your boxes using your type of wordings that you want, it has a little snowball effect. So it does help things come out better. This is most important in the beats though. So if you don't want to mess with the other boxes, honestly, it's a hassle to get brain dump and synopsis to write in that. So I don't mess with those much. I do use my dirty words because I'm not afraid of writing them. I just get embarrassed saying them in front of people. So use your words. If you want the AI to say it, you say it, okay? Same goes for fight scenes. Are you doing it to where, oh, it's just that, overall sense of the battle, the loss of life, things like that? Or, hey, do you want it graphic? Do you want the detail of somebody's head getting cut off? Write it. And there's some extra wordings, again, in that Sudowrite guide that y'all can look at. All right, so let's get started. Is there anything I need to enter in chat? Looks good.
Looks good. Maybe at the end, some people will want to ask you some more advanced one, but after you finish your class.
All right. So I'm starting in this project and then we're actually going to go to another one. I wanted to start with this one again. I was looking for those screenshots. I couldn't find them, but they're somewhere within this story that's been repeated several times in classes. This is an example of how I write my beats, okay? I do typically generate beats using Sudowrite. I use them as a guide. So I will generate those beats and then either underneath or on top of them, I will actually start writing my own beats. I just like that focus for whatever reason. Having the AI generated, I always say it's kind of like me not knowing what I want, then somebody else deciding for me. All of a sudden, no, I know exactly what I want. Here you go. So I use them as a guide to adjust how I want that scene playing out. But I get very specific. Again, there's times I don't have a clue how that scene's going to play out. I let the AI have a field day. That's another reason I no longer edit my first drafts, because in that first draft, like Stacy says, I'm still learning. The first draft is you telling yourself the story, courtesy of Stacy and Terry Pratchett, but it didn't stick in my head till Stacy told me. So now I don't even edit my first drafts. It's just me going through the story, and then I start my second draft in a better position. I know exactly what I want in this story now, and things come out a lot better, and it's so much less editing for me. Again, I'm not one that edits as I go. That was one of the first lessons I learned back in 2019 when I started writing. I was taught, do not edit as you go. Make a note. Hey, this is what I need to change. This is where I need to change it. And then you write as if you made that change going forward. Take some tweaking, working with AI, but that's still the process that I follow. But here you can see, I'm telling it, open the scene, showing it exactly who my character is, where she's at, what she's doing. So she's standing in front of an altar. And then I go on to actually describe that altar. Why? Well, there's a good chance the AI might describe it some way that I know that I don't want it described. It's not this big important detail. Yet again, there's that snowball effect. So if the AI describes something a little bit off, then something else might go off because it's bouncing off of that, and it just keeps increasing. And next thing you know, my whole scene is thrown off. That is literally how minute the first detail that can throw your scene off can be, y'all. Things just keep snowballing. So I'm telling it, no, this is exactly how my altar looks. It's got the flowers around it, all of that stuff. And then again, I go back to saying what my character does. And if you notice, I'm not putting a lot of describe and show all of that. Yes, you can. There are plenty of times when I do, but if I really have that strong idea of how my scene's playing out, I tend to write it more almost like I would write the prose. You know, she's doing this, all of that. And then this is background context in this. So I'm saying ending this, you know, she hopes it doesn't get infected. And I'm telling the AI, hey, she's sickly. She's susceptible to sickness and diseases. What I found this does is help the AI have that context to write the scene properly, yet usually it doesn't actually write that information out. This is an old one, so for our experienced users, forgive me for the repeat. This is another example I use. All forgive me for the quiet while I try and think. All right, so a couple of things to do with this. All right, so Stacy walks into the coffee shop and she sees a man leaning against the counter. What is going to go wrong right here? Now, again, this isn't like, oh, it's 100% of the time going to go wrong, but you are really giving the AI the opportunity to go wrong.
Oh, I know. Pick me.
Stacy.
Stacy's gonna know the man, even if she doesn't.
That is one of them, yes. So that was the next step. I'm so used to rehearsing this. So a man, remember I said avoid the vague wording, right? I have a man right here. The AI is going to do one of two things. It's going to go to my character list and grab a man to fill that spot. Or if I don't have any men in my character list, because, hey, I'm feeling sexist that day, it's going to make up a man to fill that role because you said, hey, she sees a man. I got to put somebody in. It's just following your instructions. That's all it's doing, okay?
And the type of man is going to be filtered through your genre.
Good point.
Thank you.
All right, so we need to get rid of vague wording, right? We know this now because Nicole has pounded it relentlessly into my head that, hey, I should put names. So now Stacy walks into the coffee shop and she sees Michael. So now it's going to go to the character list and grab Michael, grab the correct character. But in this instance, it's going to do exactly what Stacy said. Because I named these characters and said, hey, this character notices this one, Stacy's either going to have an internal monologue about, that hot summer she had with Michael. Sorry, I couldn't. I'm so sorry.
Nicole.
Have a good drink. Take your time.
Somebody take over.
What is going on?
So the way she has it now, Stacy walks into the coffee shop and sees Michael leaning against the counter. If Stacy and Michael do not know each other, you have to say that. I would put in parentheses at the end of it, Stacy and Michael don't know each other. They are seeing each other for the first time.
Yes, nailed it. I'm sorry, I cannot ever use words of people I know again because then scenes flash through my head and completely derail me. Yeah, so if you want this to be the meet cute, you don't want them to talk. You don't want her to have that internal monologue like she knows him. I'm going to put that additional context right here. Stacy and Michael do not know each other. And yes, I can make it a complex sentence, but I like to spell things out for the AI. So Stacy and Michael do not know each other. Stacy and Michael do not talk to each other. I will repeat this in every single beat until I want Stacy and Michael to talk to each other. So again, if this is the meet cute, she doesn't know him, I'm going to leave that part in there that they do not know each other. But when I'm ready for that one beat, then, they can talk to each other, but hey, I'm going to let the AI know they do not know each other. Maybe I will say this is their first encounter, or, something like that. Maybe I can even go as specific as saying one of them seen each other or seen the other person passing by something or at the local gym, grocery store, whatever. That is giving the AI additional context. All right. So let's say you have it, you're trying to be specific. So you have a serial killer, right? He's going around, he's targeting his women, grocery stores, libraries, wherever he wants to go. Manal's in the grocery store, knocks over her purse. She bends down to pick up the contents of her purse. And hey, the killer's right there. Well, if you just go on and say the killer, because you're trying to keep your readers in suspense, they don't know who the killer is yet. So you're just saying, oh, the killer kneels down and helps her. Well, I mean, it's going to say that. Manal's suddenly going to look up and she recognized the killer or suddenly knew, I don't know. It's going to go crazy. It's going to do something with that. You don't want it.
She has an intuition, huh?
So this is where you do need to kind of get creative. And I'm sorry, this is where you have to take responsibility, start experimenting what works for you. Don't just put this in there and if the AI gets it wrong, say, oh, this is stupid. It doesn't know this and it revealed that. No, watch your wording. So I could name that person. So now Michael nails down to her and helps her collect the items. This is great if you have a Michael in your card.
Nice fucking job.
and helps Manon collect the items before he walks away. You're just going to have to give it context. So if I left this as the killer, I can give it additional context. Manon does not know this man is the killer. I'm going to say, no one knows. 'Cause you know what? I don't want passersby suddenly looking down. Oh, look, it's the killer helping that woman. Hang on just a moment. Somebody got
I'm
that?
trying to get them to mute them. They just keep moving back and forth, back and forth. But Don have a question and he keep unmuting, so that might be it. If you want to answer Don's question when you're ready.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Don. Hold on just a moment. I didn't see your hand go up. So Manon does not know this man is the killer. No one knows this man is the killer. Just give the AI some help here, okay? And I could say, I actually like to do each focus, each thought within one thing, but I could put them all in the same parentheses, so it doesn't matter. But I can also say, because let's say your character card is just stating the killer, because again, you're trying to keep that reader in suspense on that killer's name. So I can say, describe the killer. Or I would say the man. Describe the man. Physical features. And I'm going to say avoid revealing he is the killer. Something along those lines. Might even want to say, again, trying to get as specific as I know I want the AI to go. I would probably even put, do not have the man give her his name. Do not have the man tell Manon his name or anything like that. Just from playing around with it, what I know the AI might tend to lean towards, that is something they're going to have that conversation. Oh, what's your name? Oh, well, there we go. I don't want that, so I can put that in there. So that is additional context you can give to the AI. Yes, Mr. Don. Hello?
You have to unmute Mr. Don if you want to speak now.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Is this a case where pronouns aren't a problem, or would it be better if Manon bends down to pick up the contents of Manon's purse and the
Yep.
unknown man kneels down next to Manon and helps Manon collect?
You nailed it. That is exactly what you should do.
Okay.
Do as I say, not as you see me doing in class.
Okay, you're still the best.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely get rid of those pronouns.
Thank you so much.
All right. And what I'm talking about here, y'all, again, like I didn't actually do it right there. But I mean, yes, it's not going to go totally derailed if you have a pronoun or two, given that the sentence structure is okay. Again, the majority of the time, it gets the pronouns right. But I know it can also get them very wrong. So I'm just going to prevent that from happening in the first place. So Alicia slices Alicia's dagger across Alicia's palm. Yes, that is how I do it. All right, let's go to this one. So this is another way you can do things. I think Gianna does hers this way. I could be wrong. But if you're one of those, you want to write in first person, hey, there's nothing wrong with you doing your beats in first person. And you can let it know in the beat header whose POV that is. So those are some options right there. Let me go to my other one.
Psst.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I know Harper does write hers in first person sometimes, and it works well, but the key that I have found is to write them in present tense. Writing them in past tense makes the resulting prose feel kind of weird.
Okay, good
The
point.
end.
Gianna, you have any experience with that?
I write in present tense nonetheless, so I can't
Oh, okay.
speak if it makes any like difference if you want it in past tense but write beats in present tense.
And y'all should know this by now, but regardless of what you're, just get in the habit of doing, whether it's first, third, past, present, get in the habit of using those hyphens, y'all. That helps with the less intelligent models. Okay, so just get in the habit, that way you don't ever have to worry about it. All right, so I am jumping over to our Jack the Ripper story. Let me check things here. What do we have going on? That one's okay. Let's pick a chapter here, and we're actually going to start playing with the plugins and stuff that I mentioned here and some instructions. So all right. So I'm going to generate the beats for chapter 1 here. If it alternated POV, what did you have in your style and genre box? Because your style will easily override your beat header. Style is the last thing the AI looks at before it writes prose. All right. And if you are using, I know unfiltered, especially with first person, I had to keep reminding it. Like Stacey just said, you could put stuff in the beat. So if I want first person and I'm using unfiltered, every single stride, I will put that command again, right in first person present tense, right in first person present tense, just to keep reminding it. It can do some great things, but it's also dumb as a box of rocks. So you got to kind of work with it if you like the prose. All right, so here we got regular Sudowrite generated beats. I am closing down my chat, so let me know if I need anything. All right, so we have regular Sudowrite generated beats, okay? Let's start playing with a couple of plugins right here. So first of all, as of right now, plugins do not work in the boxes unless they made an update that I'm not aware of. But that is on the roadmap somewhere down the line. So I'm going to copy it into my document area. And then we're going to use plugins. So let's go in order here. So John's Better Beats. I actually don't think I have that one. No, it looks like I maybe do. And structured beats. Let me add that. All right. All right, so let's try out John's right here. I'm just highlighting Sudowrite's generated beats. I shouldn't have to say this, but now I realize I do. First thing you want to do is go through these beats. Make sure it's actually doing things right. Everything's in the right order. Things are happening that you want to happen, okay? That's got to be first step, because running a plugin on beats that have errors, well, again, it's just going to compound the errors. So edit first to your liking, but this will help in case you just have no clue how to make the beats thicker and get some more details in. So those are highlighted. Let's run. Structured beats. I think Stacey says she really likes this one.
My favorite of the structured beats family is actually the structured beats mixtro. They're all great, mind you. I don't know, I like that one best. Also, it's incredibly inexpensive. So you can run it, edit your beats to where you think they're going to be amazing. Like they're going to do great for sure. Run it again.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and on that second time, you'll really know that they're going to do good.
A lot of plugin authors do make plugins with different models. So check those out. Like Stacy said, Mixtral is very cheap. Mixtral can also get that. Let me see. This one didn't do it. On longer outputs, Mixtral tends to do the never-ending sentence of doom, where it just starts giving you a bunch of adjectives and all kind of stuff. However, because it's so cheap, just give it a break, pat it on the head, run it again, or run it in smaller chunks. Right, so structured beat output. Let's see what this one costs. 3,400. All right, so beats 7 through 10 could potentially lead to looping. All right, so it tells you all those things here, and then it will actually revise the beats for you. So let's see how I would do this first. Introduce the internal monologue. So yeah, these are very vague right here. So if I actually want her to have some specific encounters, maybe I could do a bit of foreshadowing, actually have her meet one of the other ladies, but they don't know each other's names. So I would just describe the other woman that's going to be a victim of Jack later on. Drop that in there. Something else. I'm looking at these last ones. So these two, this is a way you can also quickly work this. We do it in the Beats box, so I don't mess up that for other plugins. Don't be afraid to just, first of all, just delete them if you don't like them at all. But you can always put stuff in here. Some beats tend to make really good headers. In the chapter with a cliffhanger, I don't like that. That's just a repeat. I like this idea of it ending with her, footsteps and all that. I would actually combine a couple of these, but still, I would actually play around with some of these as either putting up here in the beat header 2 for the entire chapter, or at the appropriate moment, have it as more style guidance within a beat. When I want that fog, to start closing in around Marianne, I would put that further up here maybe. That's different ways you can play around with the beats. All right, let's do, what was the other plugin? Better Beats. Oh, if we only had folders for plugins. There we go. I could have a whole folder for like John's beats. All right, so begin the chapter with Marianne. All right, so I could say right here, I wouldn't be surprised if the AI took this to mean this is her first time. So it would probably bring that in. So keep in mind, all these plugins, they're still not going to be 100% perfect, but they will help you get a lot closer. But you still need to start looking for things like that. And as you work more with AI, you're going to start being able to spot those things. right, so that was better beats. 587, so much bigger difference. And we're going to pretend that was grammatically correct when I said that. All right, so just beat it. That's the one I mentioned uses that prompt earlier. So let's run that one. And it is expensive because I don't think I changed that model. I know I do have a cheaper version, a mixed version. Hey, one thing to notice for those who are unfamiliar with how beats work. All of this right here, let me see if it's done. Oh, and we saw, okay, this is either using Mixtral or 4.0 then. How much did this cost? I'm betting it's 4.0 because of this. Mixtral and 4.0 both tend to do that a lot. All right, but here in my beats box, remember I said numbers don't matter. The only thing that matters with numbers is having a number right here. I don't care what it is, if it's 1, 5, 3, 1,000, whatever. You only need that first number here to separate it from a beat header if you have a beat header. If you don't have a beat header, you can leave every single one of these unnumbered. It doesn't care. So what does it look at if it's not worried about the numbers? It looks at all of these line spaces, so your carriage returns. So the AI is going to see this is a beat, this one's a beat, another one, and another one. So this is 4 beats right here according to the AI. And if you scroll down to your check beats, you will see that. All these 4 right here. So you got to be careful and do some rearranging. And my screen is stuck. There we go. So you would want to actually combine these whichever way you want. If I just want that combined and have maybe these 2 combined, that's fine. That gives me a nice extended scene right here. Or if I want to put them all in one, do it however you want. Just keep those line breaks, carriage returns in mind, okay? That will tell the AI, hey, this is a new beat because it's on a new line. That is all it's looking for, really. So that was the Just Beat It one. And again, that one was what, 10,000 something? Oh, 3,800. It used to cost like 10,000. It was crazy expensive. So I definitely must have changed the model. And scene summary expander and chapter beats. All right, so chapter beats and scene summary is actually meant, at least the way I intended it to be used, is to be used on the chapter summary. Play around with them. I know Tomas TextRod has actually used them in various ways. You know, several of my plugins use them not as intended, and he really liked the output. So play around with it. You can actually try them on actual beats, but they're meant to be used a different way. So let me jump to my outline right here, grab that same chapter. So I'm going to copy all of this. So now I've pasted my chapter summary here. And I can run those plugins. So let's do whichever one we come to in the list first. Scene Summary Expander. So I can take this now and use this as my new chapter summary. Of course, editing to my liking, and then generate beats from that if I want. I don't think this is the one that I was wanting then, because I have one and I thought it was this that actually gives you ideas. we have any questions?
Yeah, there's a question from Michelle. It says, what does the introduce Marianne's internal monologue with the 2 asterisks at the end do?
So the 2 asterisks are marked down. It's just basically a leak through. I would delete them. That's just
I don't
marked
know
down.
that
It would
they
actually hold it.
Yeah, I don't know that they would necessarily have an effect at all. I would probably just ignore it.
Yeah.
Was that a beat? My question though is that a beat? Like it was by itself, or is it almost looked like it was dividing?
Right. So this one, yes, that's what I was just saying a while ago. The AI looks at line breaks, so it's going to read this as a beat, even though it's really only a title for the plugin output. That's all the plugin meant was, oh, hey, we're doing this right now. But the AI is going to see this as a beat, this is another one, this is one, and then that one, because they're all on different lines. So you have to be careful with that.
So you would then pull it all together then?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. However you wanted, whether you wanted these to be 2 beats all in one, however.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I don't think I'm going to be able to find that one. I could have sworn that was the right one, the scene summary expander, but I don't know.
Which one are you looking for? Like, what is it that you're looking for it to do?
Let me do this the easy way. Okay, so yeah. So this is an example of how it used to work. So I need to tweak it. It's just not working right now. Right now, it's essentially just giving, oops, I forgot it's on a different screen. So it's essentially just kind of giving me a little bit expanded chapter summary. In reality, it's supposed to do this. So this was my highlighted text. And then it gives instructions on what you can do to make things better. And then it gives you a whole output like this.
Something also to remember with plugins is if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Are you trying to tell me to try again?
Yeah, I was.
And that's also worth bringing up too. I know I make plugins to do usually a specific task for a specific book or a part of my process. Okay, sometimes things need to change, but yeah, it definitely needs to be tweaked. It's not doing what I designed it to do. So I would ignore that one unless you like the output, then I would just put it in the chapter summary to generate beats from, but it's not doing what I'd want. All right, and the other one is the chapter beats. All right, so again, highlight that chapter summary, and let's see if chapter beats needs tweaking too. These are so old. But once I get a use out of them, I tend to just kind of forget about them. Until somebody points something out, and then I need to go fix it. All right, we'll do this one. All right, so it thickened them up and everything. However, I'm just, at a brief glance, I am seeing a few things that would result in possible looping. So I would need to do some rewording there. But that one, 1400, and scene summary was low. So those are plugins, and that's just a few plugins, y'all. If you search up beats in the Explore plugins page, you're going to find a lot of them that you can play with to find one that you really like. Let's do, here we go. So I'm just going to take that rewrite prompt that I mentioned before. And I'm going to grab that other one because I like the ending. It's that little header right there. All right, so I've copied that. And then, like I said, you could either use rewrite or you can use quick edit. I found quick edit does better. But do whatever you want. Rewrite can only hold up to 13 words, I believe, in your prompt. So I do cut it down a little bit and you see it cut off, but it still does well. All right, so I like this one. Definitely needs some rewording there, but a better start. And let's compare that to quick edit. Oops. And then the last thing I will show y'all is how I like to prompt in the outline. And we can play with some beats if we still have time. Go ahead and accept that. Let's see what it did. So I like this one better, I think. And let's compare. Well, quick edit was 0, of course, because I used the free version, and rewrite itself was 617, so not bad. And so far, I think I've liked this other than the one that gave a lot of the style and all that focus on different lines that needed to be adjusted. It's something you can do. And one of my favorite things, again, is putting things in the outline box. So like I said, this is similar to what Just Beat It should do. Get rid of this darn box. So I am going to put it here. So we have all my usual chapter information. Here's the chapter summary, and then here's the instructions and stuff. And then I will generate beats from that. So this was our normal beat generation of what Sudowrite gives. So like the next chapter is the inspector arriving to a crime scene. When it generates the beats, I can tell it, hey, focus on the detective's analysis, both his internal thoughts and statements that he makes out loud of the crime scene. And that way, when it generates beats, it is going to focus solely on creating those. Again, you can break it down into those little plot points. So when beats generate, that is exactly what it's doing. So this gave us almost 100 more words, but still very simple enough for me to play with. It's also not listening because it's actually supposed to do 2 to 4 sentences. So I do need to tweak that too. Welcome to the world of AI, y'all. Things can work great for quite a long time, and then suddenly your prompts aren't working quite the same. So these would make a good header and stuff. Okay, so he's here, arriving at the crime scene. So I'm going to tell it. Actually, let me do my other. What in the world happened here? Sorry, it throws me when it suddenly moves everything. So I can tell it. So in this one, I'm just really focused on his analysis and what he's thinking. So let's see how well it does. I see the chat going. Are we good? I do modify the outline with prompts for each chapter pretty much. Unless again, I don't really know what I want to focus on, and then I just let it go and do its own thing. But I find I get better results whenever I prompt each chapter.
Oh, it is good in the chat.
Thank you. All right, so it gave us 12 beats. Let's see. So it's describing his initial shock. Talks about the disgust that I asked to showcase. But I like this one a lot better. And let's see, that was 426 words. Let's see what happens if we take that out. Hopefully there's no memory recall in here. So does this help everybody understand how much potential there is with prompting beat generation? You're not just stuck with clicking that generate beats button and being at the mercy of the AI. You can really instruct it on how to go. That was very cliche right there. So I don't know about y'all, but I like the other version better. So one more that I said I would show is this one. That's not the one. Where's... There we go. All right, so these have been my go-to lately. Play around with them. They're instructed to do the same thing, only slight differences. So see which one you like better. I'm going to go with version 2. So we saw a couple of ways. We saw the Sudowrite generated beats in this one. We saw instructing in the outline, just a simple instruction of, hey, you're focusing on the inspector and his thoughts and his disgust with the crime scene. Now, I'm going to use that plugin to actually give me a different set of instructions. Again, I created these to beat headers. I found they didn't work as well for that. So I now use them in this way, in the outline. As always, make your edits. I'm not going to edit, but I did notice I didn't like that last line because it was so a little bit cheesy. And yeah, I don't actually like that, but I'm going to leave it. So this is what those two plugins give you, something similar to this. I put it in that chapter that I'm working on. And now let's go back to that same one and generate beats again. The reason for doing this, and y'all, this is great for sex scenes and fight scenes. I found using these, the beat header ones, tend to generate beats that flowed much better. Okay, he arrives, surveys the scene, interviews witnesses. Dr. Llewellyn arrives. So you can see it's very flowy. Are they still on the small side? Yes. So this is where my edits would come into play. I would start adding in my own details, combining beats, doing whatever I need so that I know that the beat is thick enough to not have any looping. And these could actually be brought up here as a header. Stacy, was there anything else I needed to go over? I feel like I'm missing something.
I don't remember, but this has been a really great class.
Good, I hope it helped.
It's been, I don't know, I think it's been very comprehensive.
Does
I'm
everybody,
biased.
what did you say?
I said I'm biased though.
Okay, so does everybody understand the difference between what is a good beat and what's a bad beat? Like, are you understanding that you need to give the AI something to work with, or else that looping could happen? And looping is what we're referring to. It might write this stride, and then when it starts the next stride, it might have Inspector Aberlane arrive again and then just play it out differently. That's looping, where it does part of the scene over, but slightly different. That you're not getting enough, either you're not giving the AI enough information to write with, and it's pulling from various places to try to meet its word limits or word goals, or you're not having that continuing action guidance. And that's, so, oh, they're here. Well, let me have them arrive on scene. Versus, no, he's already on scene. Can I say this? Avoid revealing. That's, yeah, I'm agreeing with James. It would probably be better to rewrite your beats, but if you do need that initial context, you can try it, but I also want to say I would keep it simpler, avoid revealing who, or avoid revealing this character's identity. So to confirm, you use the generate beats, then you paste those into the Prose section. And yes, if you want to use plugins, remember plugins don't work in any of the boxes. So it does need to be in the document area to highlight and use the plugins. That will change sometime in the future when they get them to work inside the boxes.
Can I add a question to that?
Yes, ma'am.
If you've imported and maybe this is a different class, so just direct me if it is, but if you've imported a manuscript and you have a chapter there, you want it to generate beats from that chapter, is there any value in doing that, like to get different ideas? So can you highlight everything you already have in the chapter and say generate beats?
You could. Um,
Ooh, Moo,
I have I have the scene by scene. There's the scene by scene outline, but there's also one that's a section scene by scene for you to highlight, and that will generate beats. Go ahead, Stacey.
Moo. John's mega pre-cap you put the cursor at the end of your chapter and it will generate not only a short chapter synopsis or summary for you to use in your outline or as a previously header in your next chapter, but it will also generate beats.
Wow, okay, awesome.
So
Thank you.
recap
Pretty game changer.
and beats generation. So he has two versions right here.
Perfect, thank you.
So let's see. Let me look at, so this is the scene by scene outline plugin that I was showing. This is what it does. It reads the brain dump and it gives a breakdown of the major scenes and everything. And then I'm able to fill in the details of how I want each of these to play out a little bit more. So I can actually use one of the Beats plugins or prompting, to just flesh this out some more. And then do that for each one of these. So there's lots of ways, and if there's not already a plugin that you like, or Sudowrite isn't doing something that you need it to do, create a plugin for it.
There's also a new feature inside Discord where in the plugins channel, you can say, I wish I had a plugin that blah, blah, blah. And then Nicole, Michael, or I can go in with our spectacularly amazing magic wand, and Sudowbot will give you a rough draft of what to do or how to make that plugin.
There it is. Apparently people have been chatty in here since I last looked at it. Oh, looks like it's been a while since somebody actually asked for it. Oh, did somebody nobody did the magic wand on this one? Me fuss at John. I said I would make the plugin, but there we go. So yeah. So he said, I wish we had a plugin that did such and such, gave what he wanted. And so somebody goes in there and does the wand, and then however much time passes, and it'll eventually come back and give the results. So that's a very easy way to get started if you don't know how to create your own plugins. All right. Are there any questions before I stop the recording? Do you know when we will get the outline boxes? I had everything hidden in Discord, didn't I? I thought. Do you know? So they're taking people in waves. So go to the announcements channel in Discord and you can find the link. Or I can find it and give it to you right there. So if you're not on the wait list, sign up for the wait list right there. They've only done the basic features right now. As you can see, pretty much all that's there is creating your chapters. And you can add in new chapters, stuff like that. But for those unaware, other features are coming. You'll be able to designate the POV, the tense, and all that within, I don't remember if it's at the top of it's within each chapter, isn't it? Because POV changes. So you could have that in each chapter. you'll be able to, so if I add a chapter right here, in the future, I will be able to click that fill it in like we do with the characters and world building. We will be able to rewrite a chapter, all kinds of stuff. So right now it's just the very basics. That's being tested out. Everything needs to be tweaked. And then they'll roll out the next set of features. So they are continuing to take people. So sign up on the form right there. I mean, look over this because I'm still feeling like I forgot something. But yeah, just for reference, these right here are one of my favorites to use in the outline. But I'm still in love with this simple one right here for using rewrite or quick edit. It works, especially if I know I just want a little bit of guidance, that better start. So play around with it. So to recap, you do not have to just click that generate button and have the beats generated from just your stuff. You can guide how are those beats going to get generated. You could probably come up with something way better than what I have right here. And then edit. Don't have, let's see what we have here. It's like this one. This was another example of I use the ellipses because, hey, I just want you to continue this, but I also want to make sure this is how you're telling things in the prose. So in addition to my style and all that, you can still have your beat header saying how you want things written, as well as descriptors in each beat. Just remember your beat header, the beat header, what comes before the first beat applies to all of the beats, okay? That's something I think a lot of people overlook when they click to write that first stride. As soon as I click to generate prose down here, even though I'm only doing that first beat so far, as soon as I click that button, the AI sees all of these beats, okay? It doesn't just read that first beat or the beat that it's on. It sees all of the beats in the beats box. That's why it's very important. One of the first things I do is when I generate beats, I go to that last beat and I put in, this is how I want the chapter to end. And I kind of work backwards from there because it does see that ending and it starts working towards that, which is also great for short stories. Those of you who like to do the short stories the way I do, where your story premise is in one chapter of the outline and you're generating beats for that whole entire short story, go to that last beat. Make sure that story ends exactly how you want it to end. Give it all the details. And then whenever you click that button, if you're like me, you don't like to pause, you just want it to go, it starts working towards that ending. All right. Chat looks slow now, so I am going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I'll still answer questions or hang around for a little bit for anybody who didn't feel comfortable asking on the recording. So thank you for hanging out with us today, and I hope this helps y'all with beats. If you're the type of person who likes to learn and experiment, you know, these can be so much fun to play with. I love these. That's is why I keep my outline very simple. I don't think I showed it here. So my outline typically doesn't even have these. It is very short. This is how I guide my chapter. So it has that day, time, setting, a location, and then each of these is just a little plot point or a further description. So it's very small in scope, not covering a whole range of plot points. I'm just focusing right there in my outline because it doesn't do any good for me to load it up with details that I know are not going to get brought into beats because Prose isn't looking at my outline when it writes those beats. So it's not seeing all those details I put there. And when beats get generated, they're also not bringing in a lot of the details. So for me, it worked better to just keep my outline small and then I load up the beats box with all those details that I want. Yes, Mr. Don.
This might be a dumb question, but your favorite go-to that generate beats that are rich in detail and nuance to guide the narrative flow and are mindful of character motivations. If you put it in I understand the reasoning behind putting it in quick edit because it's got more than 13 words for rewrite. But would it also benefit to put in quick chat that very, highlight all of your beats and then just do the quick chat instead of quick edit?
Yep, you can use either one. I actually tend to use quick chat more than quick edit.
Oh, okay, great.
But just play around with it. They
I,
do
I
look
thought
at
I thought quick chat might have been a better choice. So thanks.
yeah, they do look at pretty similar stuff. For anybody that doesn't have this document right here. So it tells you what quick edit looks at and what quick chat looks at. So you can definitely do it. I do like using quick chat because it doesn't replace the text. I think that's what I like most about it. So I can actually copy the output from quick chat into the document with the original text, and then I can combine whatever I'm wanting. That's why I tend to lean towards it, I think.
Yeah, okay. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Stacy says she prefers quick chat.
Yay, Stacy.
All right, I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. So we'll hang around chat and I'll answer any other questions. Thank y'all, everyone. Bye.